I am resident of Collinwood for YouTube Jewel Saints. That is my buddy Patrick McCray. We're here to review The Shining and Doctor Sleep. Yes, yes, both movies. So The Shining came first, directed by Stanley Kubrick, screenplay by Stanley Kubrick and Diane Johnson, based on The Shining by Stephen King, produced by Stanley Kubrick, starring Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, Scatman Carruthers, Danny Lloyd. This was distributed by Warner Brothers and Columbia. Release dates May 23rd, 1980, United States, October 2nd, 1980, United Kingdom. Uh, Budget 19 million, box office 50 million. So, Patrick, when did you first see The Shining, man?
Uh, I once upon a time, is my camera on?
No, but your audio's on.
Oh, thank God. But that's weird though. All right. I saw The Shining. Are you kidding me? I saw The Shining when it opened, and I guess it was 1979 or was it 1980?
It's 1980.
Yeah, that's interesting because that's the year I saw it, and I saw it at that great theater floor in Louisville, the Showcase Cinemas, giant former Cinerama theater, massive screen, 1,000 people, all thrilling. The lovable adventures of Jack, Danny, and Barry Nelson. Yeah, because we've been
So,
paralyzed for the longest time with just that amazing trailer that with the blood coming out of the elevator.
yeah.
And what are you gonna do when they come for you? And so those bad boys. And Stephen King was a big deal. He was the hot new thing. I think maybe the year before the Salem was Lot miniseries had happened. And this was, I guess, the third big book. So and the audience thrilled to it. I really did. They were on the edge of their seat.
Yeah. With this movie, now Jack Nicholson, he plays Jack Torrance. Shelley Duvall, for those who don't know, plays Wendy Torrance's wife. Danny Lloyd plays Danny Torrance, which is called Doc. Scatman Carruthers plays Dick Halloran. And for those who don't know, who have never, if you've been living under a rock and have never seen this movie, uh, Danny has a very special ability called The Shining, where he can see paranormal things like ghosts. He can see upcoming events that may or may not happen, mostly may. He can, so he can see the supernatural. And Dick Halloran has the same ability. Now, if you have The Shining, you can communicate with other people who have the same set ability. Enter Dick Halloran's Scatman Carruthers. Now, before they actually get up to the Overlook Hotel, if you will, um, Jack Nicholson's Torrance, and his wife and their son, he's been put in charge to look out over the place for the winter months, which is really interesting. And so they get there and they actually give them the tour. It's actually Scatman Carruthers' character Dick Halloran who gives them the tour, which is really cool. Patrick. Your mic's muted, so you know. But anyway, what I was saying
Worshiping
is,
Jesus the way we should. I'm sorry, did you get all of that?
You were muted for some things, but the things you said before, I got the when you were on here in the other account. But I was saying that
Yes.
I was saying why Jack Nicholson's character Jack Torrance got the job that They hired him, and he's also a writer too to look after the Overlook Hotel. And Danny Danny Doc Torrance, Danny Doc Torrance, Danny Torrance, who they call Doc, played by Danny Lloyd, obviously enough. Um, he has this ability called the Shining, and so does Scatman Crothers' character Dick Halloran. And so Dick is the one who gives them the tour, and everybody's leaving. All this big staff is leaving, so it's just the four family member who stay the whole winter, and they're in this giant ass hotel. Um, this is
Now, what?
very
Now, what, Joel? I think it's for all parts of the body.
now this is very much a Dark Shadows feel movie in every way. What do you think, Patrick?
Well, tell me more about that. What do you mean Dark Shadows feel?
Well, I mean, okay, I would say Stephen King had watched Dark Shadow.
Oh, he talks about it in Dance Macabre.
Yeah, and okay, Collinwood is a haunted house
Hmm?
full of a young boy who can see ghosts and talks to ghosts.
Oh my God.
Uh, and that boy is not named is named Danny Torrance. His name is David Collins.
And he has an alcoholic, abusive father
Father,
who
yeah,
probably reads things like Playgirl.
yeah,
Now, let's not just brush over this, Jewel.
hmm
Because if it were up to me, this would be the entire discussion. Why is Jack Torrance, when he's completing a job interview, reading Playgirl magazine in
yeah,
the public lobby of his upcoming business, and then
yeah.
leaves his out? So, is the Overlook Hotel the kind of place that has a lot of copies of Playgirl? Does he only read it for the articles? I mean, he could have chosen any magazine,
hmm
Cat Fancy,
hmm
but it's not Cat Fancy. It's Playgirl.
hmm
Your thoughts?
I honestly think I sort of wonder at first when I first watched this is that was the magazine even real or was it in his mind? I mean, because Jack Nicholson's character, Jack Torrance, is an alcoholic, but
Yes.
we also learned that he's a recovering alcoholic. He hasn't touched he according to pre-entering the hotel, he hasn't touched liquor in a number of many years or whatever, how many it's been.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, if you believe that, that's fine. I'm not here to counterpoint that argument or whatever, convince anybody otherwise. But because when Jack Nicholson's Jack Torrance steps up to the bar and starts talking to Mr. Grady, the caretaker, if you will,
Yeah.
Mr. Grady says, "You're the caretaker now. You have to take care of things how I take care of things."
Exactly.
So Danny Lloyd is not Danny Lloyd's character, Danny Torrance, is not forcing his father to see a ghost. Jack Nicholson's character, Jack Torrance, saw a ghost of his own volition,
Yeah.
even before he touched a drink, really.
Yeah.
So if you're asking, for those wondering, yes, the Overlook Hotel in the movie is haunted um, in every way, shape, and form. So, and Danny's shining, it causes him to see all these ghosts, the two twins, their murder, the woman in the room that they're not supposed to go into. It's why he writes red. He writes red rum, which is murder in reverse, because there was
So
murder.
he should be. It should. That's something that an obstetrician should write because they're doing murder in reverse.
Oh my god.
Well, aren't they? I mean,
But what what do you think? Do you think Stephen King took a lot of inspiration from DS for this, or
he took some. I definitely think he took some. I mean, anyone who is that, is that. So yeah, sure he did. Sure he did.
Mhm.
Don't
And
you?
yeah, I think he took a lot actually. Well, probably a lot more than you, maybe, because
You're going to fight me on this then.
no, no, not
I
fight you.
I think he took more influence in Dark Shadows than you did. And you're going to fight me to prove it. We'll get the boys in the lab to ascertain really what's going on here. Now, but I agree. Yeah, it does have that Dark Shadows flavor. The problem is that the characters are very uh lower middle class.
Hmm.
So I mean, but they are in the echo of aristocracy. All the best people,
Hmm.
all the best people. So it's kind of like Stephen King is an everyday guy suddenly living at Collinwood,
Yeah.
you know, and living, champagne dreams and caviar nights. As they like to say on Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Why didn't that show ever go to Collinwood? Can you imagine? Um, I'm serious. What is it? Champagne Dreams and Caviar Nights, Caviar Dreams and Blue Whale Nights, or something like that. Uh, so the other thing I want to know is which ghost? Do you feel sorry for the ghosts? Do you think any of them are trapped there?
I think they're all trapped there, really.
Okay,
I think all the ghosts are trapped in the hotel.
yeah. Who do you see? Which ghost do you feel sorriest for?
Probably the twin girls.
Really? They seem to be having. Did Grady kill them because they wouldn't stop speaking in unison?
I think he just killed his
They
daughter.
just they didn't drive him crazy with that double mint routine.
Yeah, Philip. I got to give credit to Philip Stone as Dilbert Grady.
Uh
Uh,
huh.
really, really creepy character. Um, just yes, Jack Nicholson deserves a lot of credit for playing Jack Torrance and being the antagonist of this movie. But a really good, great antagonist, Delbert Grady. Really, really antagonistic ghost. And you have that aspect of that. You also have the
Okay.
twins who aren't necessarily antagonistic, but they're warning the little boy of what may happen to him. They're also showing him what happened to them at the same time. They were murdered by their father. And then there's the room, the haunted room,
Yeah, two
with
three seven.
yeah, with the evil ghost woman.
Now,
Uh,
yeah, let's talk about her.
yeah, what did you think about her?
I think off camera, I think Jack Nicholson had a shot with the second lady to play that ghost. I really do. I think if he had made his intentions known, they could have had a romance. But I'm talking. But that's off screen. That's off screen. What do I think? I mean, she's a crazy, crazy naked lady. Tuesdays at 8. Um, so back to the little girls though. Now, not in that way, but if Danny had said, "If you come play with us, Danny, forever," and he said, "Okay," what do you think would have happened?
I think Danny Torrance would be.
Would do what?
I think Danny Torrance would be dead.
You think so? Why would they
Mhm.
kill him?
I don't think they would kill him. I think ghosts sort of have a way. Remember Sarah? How Sarah said to David that she realized she died, and
Mhm.
she kind of she didn't want David to join her. But the difference between Louisa and Louise Burns, who are playing the Grady twins, and the character of Sarah is Sarah isn't looking for David to join her. Sarah's trying, in a sense, warn David of what's going on with Barnabas, whereas the Grady twins are not only warning necessarily Danny Torrance, Doc, they want him to join them because they feel lonely. Their father isn't his ghost isn't patrolling the hotel to play with them and to like whatever. He's basically looking for another him the
Well,
whole
okay.
time.
And I ask you, was Danny selfish to
No,
to to deny those girls his company?
no.
He should have given up his own life. Oh, I'm just kidding you, Jewel. I'm just. This movie's been talked about so much. I'm trying to find like little new, rivulets
Yeah,
of delight.
yeah.
So yeah, but this time I really was thinking about, well, what if Danny said, okay? And then they went, "Well, we didn't know about this. We didn't think you'd do this. I do you want to play tea or something?"
Yeah.
I guess so.
Well, there were now there for those who wonder, there are two women in the bath. There's Leah Bellman, who played the young woman in the bath, and there's
Uh-huh.
Billy Gibson, who played the older woman in the bathtub.
Yeah. What
So
do we know about Billy Gibson? She seems like a saucy wench with a good laugh. What's going on there? Pirate wench kind of type?
I don't know,
I
but uh, now there are some things here for analysts, social interpretations. There's Native Americans.
how?
The,
Anyway, go into the junk. Get it how. And continue.
well, here the social interpretation for the analyst. It says here, film critic Jonathan Romani writes that the film has been interpreted in many ways, including addressing the topics of the crisis in masculinity, sexism, corporate America, and racism. It's tempting to read The Shining as an Abdul struggle not just between generations, but between Jack's culture of the writing word, of Danny's culture of images. Romney writes, Jack also uses the writing word to more mundane purpose, to sign his contract with the Overlook. I gave my word, which will take to mean gave his soul. So there's that Native American thing. There's just Native American. Among interpreters who see the film reflecting more subtle the social concerns that animate other Kubrick films, one of the early viewpoints was discussed in an essay by ABC reporter Bill Blackmore,
Sure.
titled Kubrick's Shining Secret Film Hidden Horror is the Murder of the Indian, first published the Washington Post on July 12, 1987. He believes that indirect references to American killings of Native Americans previewed the film as exemplified by the American logo, sorry,
Oh, really?
American logos
Uh-huh.
on the backing powder in the kitchen and the Emerald artwork that appears throughout the hotel, which, yeah, that does appear. Though no Native Americans are seen, Stuart Olivan tells Wendy that when building the hotel, a few Indian attacks had to be fended off since it was constructed on an Indian burial ground.
Mhm.
So there is that. So the question obviously is, did building it on the Indian burial ground cause the hauntings or cause a curse over the hotel? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, a lot of this is interpretation of art direction and things like that, and music. But if you're doing a story about ghosts and about ancient civilizations or just echoes of the past falling
Mhm.
silently, and then somebody's calling to me and it's the middle of the night. But seriously, if you're doing that and you're setting it in Colorado out west, what are you gonna the ghosts of some skier? No, you're going to go back to that and that sense of danger. The Native American culture is really suggested as being a fairly in a respectable way fearsome force, which makes it look like whatever took them out and turned them into ghosts had to be either stronger but
Mhm.
not in the long run, or meaner. And so, always there's a sense of weird justice going on. I pay attention to the soundscape of the movie. Everybody pays attention to the visuals in the movie, all the Native American decorations and the Calumet can when he's trapped in the freezer. That's a peace pipe, and so on. It's all of these chants and trills and screams and so on that have a very distinct sort of man called horse kind of feel to them. And like suddenly there is something very ancient that's eating away around the edges of this civilized place. This is a movie now. I rattled on, insipidly for some time now, but now let me get vaguely more serious about it all. This is a very, very strange movie, and I know that we take that as a given, but really, it is. It is a movie that has a lot of danger. Will Robinson in it.
Mhm.
It has a lot of different forces all eating away at them. And one of the great things about it as a treatise on the supernatural, which of course Kubrick didn't believe in, but
Mhm.
treatise on the supernatural is that there is no one thing to blame. It's got, and maybe that's the point. Maybe it's a great big mess on purpose,
Mhm.
because I will speak as a secular man. When I hear people describing religious frameworks of things, and it gets increasingly elaborate. And it was for man's sins, and he was on the but it's not man's sins like we're off the hook. We still have to do this, and it becomes this increasingly weird bureaucracy. And rather than I have this sense that God wants me to be nice to other people, which is something that is basic enough that anyone can get behind. And I'm doing this the cruel screed against religion for a reason. um Not to be disrespectful at all, but to say that you're dealing with the ultimate mystery, and anything supernatural, anything dealing with ghosts, is in the backyard shed of religion. It's all part of that framework. It's all part of what are souls, what happens after we die, what is the invisible substance that transcends life and connects us all, and does it have some sort of moral intention, right? So even if it's an evil moral intention, so it has some sort of intention. So that, especially if you grow up with that and grow up with a very specific religious point of view, you grow up with it, and it makes sense, and it's part of everything. If you come from that from outside, it's a very complicated thing. And the weird part about it being complicated is that it's complicated based on very little firsthand knowledge. It's like, how did you get all of this lattice of, especially when you get into Catholicism? It's just like a massive, massive machine. And wow, yeah, you guys intuited a lot of popes had a lot of conversations. Now, so that's odd enough. But then when you get into the supernatural and you try and ask any two supernatural experts about how do ghosts work or any of that, it gets really kooky and really out there. And so what I think is scary is that no matter how many explanations people try to come up with, they still don't really know. And so the less these things are openly explained and yet remain threatening, the scarier they are. And I think that is something that Kubrick does really well. This isn't Craig T. Nelson, bringing a little person over to yell, "Go into the lake!" No, don't go into the lake. No, go into the lake. Or whatever. And the corpses pop up in the backyard, and they go to a hotel. The end. No, no. This is there. The universe is profoundly broken. And if you're Wendy Torrance, you realize it is obeying laws and operating on laws you can't even begin to understand. He's got this obsession with Ben Franklin. It all work and no play. And there are Nazi typewriters showing up. Yeah, Kubrick larded this with all kinds of weird symbols. You don't have to see, Room 237, Randy Asher's amazing documentary, to get that. Um, Sometimes the actual the conspiracy world, the non theological conspiracy world, the non supernatural conspiracy world still uses the word occult to describe what's bizarre, unknowable, sinister forces. In the words of Peter Levenda, are really eating away at everything. And so with all of the moon landing stuff that Danny has on, the Apollo 11 sweaters and so on and so forth. Well, good God. I mean, perhaps because you want to get into the whole thing about the conspiracies, perhaps this is Kubrick simply saying we are all being eaten away by so many different conspiracies, all vying for the center square that I don't even know where to begin, and neither does anyone else. So, that's a weird monologue I just went on.
Mhm.
Have fun. I don't know.
Well, I'll say this. I'm going to address the Dark Shadows then real quick.
Okay, let's go back to it. We both know Dark Shadows. Let's do that.
Right, right. I'll say this, where, in my opinion, where I feel, especially in this movie, because I haven't read the book,
Yeah.
I think where I see a lot of Dark Shadows is in the goat, especially where Grady, the male Grady character, tells Jack Nicholson's character Jack Torrance, "Your friend is bringing your son's bringing a friend to help." And
Outsiders.
outsiders. And that reminds me very much of the Ghost of Judah Zachary and the Ghost of Quentin,
Okay.
where they, especially Judah Zachary, or where in 1995, where he's going to the old house to look at Julia to get her to come to him,
Yeah.
and he's doing his own dirty work. Now that's the biggest difference there, but there's a slight similarity because you have a ghost literally going to somebody to to get them to come to you, whereas in Grady's character is going to Jack Nicholson and saying, "Hey, you need to take care of this." Basically, really,
Yes.
really interesting,
It
and
it puts an interesting limits on ghosts,
yeah,
or does it? Do they need Jack Nicholson to go do this because they can't, or do they need Jack Nicholson to do that because they are leading him down a path where he will become one of them? More than a ghost, kind of a somewhere between a demon and a ghost. I think two bits.
yeah. I think well, Dark Shadows is in a sense the same way in a sense because remember the ghosts of Dark Shadows do use humans in their battles.
Yes.
Josette recruits Vicky, who's guiding Frank Garner to the cemetery. There where we meet the old cemetery keeper, the cemetery groundskeeper. So you see that in DS2 where the ghosts are limited to a degree. What they can't do is physical action necessarily. Well, we do know that Bill Malloy and the Widows kill Matthew Morgan, but they more scare him to death. They don't touch him. Um,
Well, they touch his heart.
well, yeah, right. So you're right. The ghosts are in a sense limited. They can't do necessarily something physical to kill somebody. Now they do hurt Danny, but I think the reason they hurt
Do
Danny
they,
is, well,
or does Jack?
the ghost in the room, I would say.
Maybe. Yeah.
They hurt Danny, and the reason they're able to hurt Danny is because Danny can actually feel and see them with his abilities.
Yes.
I'm not so certain Jack Torrance can actually feel them. He can see and talk to them, but because his mind is going too, he's been seduced by the ghost more so than actually touched by them.
Well, don't you think they would like Danny because he can see them, and that makes him a little more real?
Not if the spirit's evil, not if the ghost
Well,
is
evil
evil.
loves to be seen. I mean, Hitler did all those speeches. He did.
Well,
He, I mean, he was, he was out there. Evil's proud of itself. I'm not challenging you. I'm just exploring these issues.
right,
I don't
right,
know. I don't
right,
have any answer.
right.
The thing is that Jack and Wendy's fracturing marriage, I think, is important
Yes.
because there is a lack of unity that they show from almost the beginning, and and yet they are in such conflict constantly, which leads me to wonder, how how on earth can they be lovers if they can't even be friends? How can they start over when the fighting never ends, Jewel? It never ends,
No,
like in
it
the
does.
song.
no, it doesn't. You're right. I do think
How
that
can we be lovers if we can't be friends? How can we
I
start over and the fighting never ends? Continue.
no, you're absolutely right. The relationship between Jack and Wendy is, I would say, is strained well before they ever enter that hotel. You can tell there's sort of this quiet tension between the two of them.
It's no Alan Peg Bundy.
No, no, it's not in every way. It's it's very much broken home syndrome. And before they enter the hotel, and once they enter the hotel, things just get worse and worse and worse and worse. The ghosts are just adding the fuel to the already lit fire that is there. So now, whether they knew about it or not, that's a whole nother matter. But they
Well,
add fuel to the fire. So
yeah, and then it's like trying to put it. It was like putting out the fire with gasoline.
yeah,
Putting
pretty
out the
much.
fire with gasoline. Ooh, 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 ooh. Continue.
But
Now
yeah,
I got a question for you, Joel.
hmm,
Oh, you're not gonna like it. Oh, once that was a very interesting that you gave, because once you hear the question, you're gonna regret not going like that in a manly way. The ghosts I feel sorriest for are the bear and the guy in the tux. You know, the ones
I
towards the end of
know.
the movie. They're trying to have a quiet evening, and then Shelley Duvall shows up staring
Yeah,
at them.
yeah,
Because what's going on there? Why is the man in the bear suit? Why, and when did Kubrick come up with that idea? And was he like trying stuff out for Eyes Wide Shut?
hmm,
And here's the thing: who's the ghost? Are Wendy and Jack ghosts from the future that they're seeing back in the 20s, or is it vice versa? Because if we go into the impression that Wendy is the ghost for the people in the 1920s, here they are. They've snuck off, they snuck away from their wives. One would presume, and then there's Shelley Duvall staring at them. That would give me a very uneasy night. And I think you could do a remake of The Shining from their point of view, where every time they think they're going to get a little privacy, there's Shelley or there's
hmm,
Scatman
hmm.
looking horrified. Your thoughts?
I do think, from the sense of there are ghosts in the movie where they there's a reason the ghosts are wanting people to join them, because to them their era hasn't ended. They know they're some of the ghosts, I think, who we don't hear from or necessarily see. To them, the 1920s or whatever 40s never ended. It's like
Yeah,
it's still going on, even in their afterlife is the 40s. They're there on Earth. They're not going to heaven. They're not going to hell. If you believe in that sort of thing,
yeah,
I do. But when it
sure.
comes
Who doesn't?
right, but that I'm just saying that that's their the Overlook Hotel is where they are, and it's their era. It's the 1940s or whatever. So I could see from that standpoint, because I do think that's something too with that's something that I don't think Dark Shadows ever really touched upon, because I think the ghost knew, okay, I'm dead. There's things they don't know as ghosts. Like I don't know what the ghosts know in The Shining. They do know violence. They do know how to
Yeah.
seduce someone.
I mean, I don't think they're given a written exam
Right,
to
right,
become
right,
ghosts, although they might be. I don't know.
right. So yeah, what? Oh, here we go. Before making The Shining, Stanley Kubrick directed the film Lyndon,
Yeah, Barry
a
Lyndon.
a highly visual period film about an Irishman who attempts to make his way into European aristocracy. Despite its technical achievements, the film was not a box office success in the United States of America, and
Mhm.
was derided by critics for being too long and too slow. Disappointed with Barry Lyndon's lack of success, Kubrick realized he needed to make a film that would be commercially viable as well as artistically fulfilling. Stephen King was told that Kubrick had his staff bring him stacks of horror books as he planted himself in his office to read them all. Kubrick's secretary heard the sound of each book hitting the wall as the director flung into reject pile after reading the first few pages. Finally, one day, the secretary noticed it had been a while since she heard the thud of another writer's book biting the dust. She walked in to check on her boss and found Kubrick deeply engrossed in the reading of a copy of the manuscript of The Shining. So there you go. Let's see, writing. Okay, in 1977, a Warner Brothers executive, John Calley, went sent Kubrick the proofs of what would become the novel. Its author, Stephen King, was already at the time the best-selling author, who, after the blockbuster of Carrie, could boast of success in adaptations for the big screen. For his part, Kubrick had been considering directing a horror film for some time, a few years before, while Barry Lyndon disappointed at box office, another Warner Brothers film he had refused to direct, The Exorcist, directed by William Franken. No offense to Kubrick, but I'm glad William got it.
A very different movie. That's a fascinating discussion topic, though, to roundtable some people about what the
Yeah,
Kubrick Exorcist would have been like.
yeah, we definitely got to discuss that with Alan.
I think it would have been Slim Pickens as Lancaster Marin.
But yeah, what's some of your favorite scenes in The Shining?
Oh Lord, I prefer sane Jack Torrance to insane
Mhm.
Jack Torrance, and it's almost an acting lesson. There's this thing that we talk about in acting, which is don't show them your top, because then you don't have any place else to go, which explains all the topless scenes. But really, but they say that don't yell, don't scream, don't cry. You have the right to remain silent, and that to me is really important. Once Jack starts snarling and his eyes start rolling and so on and so forth, it's a funny performance, but we know where it's going. Now, is that just an effect of having lived with this as a seminal part of cinematic culture for the past 40 years? Well, it could be. It very, very, very well could be. But it does get a little tiring after a while. The other thing that I think is really interesting in his performance and in moments in the movie, there's a moment that I really identify with, and I know I shouldn't, and I feel like Stephen King or Stanley Kubrick are having it both ways, where they're showing that yes, Jack's response is inappropriate, but he is responding to something kind of appropriate, and it's if you hear me typing, if you don't hear me typing, what the heck do you think you hear me doing? Don't come in, don't interrupt, because you break my concentration. And I have found myself in very ugly places feeling that way. When I've been working on something, I've been writing something, and I start living in terror that the person I'm living with is just going to waltz in and start a conversation about, laundry or Peking duck or something, and then we're done. That to me is an interesting. The interesting moments in this movie are all interesting for big reasons. This is like Slumdog Millionaire, connecting to so many other things, and so there's just so much to look into. Of course, the Aquavit scene in the bathroom, where Delbert Grady's cleaning them up, and Jack Nicholson gives a hilarious line reading in it that I cannot repeat. It's the word I cannot repeat because it's clearly a word that is not in his vocabulary. You don't hear him say that in the movie. Uh, and it's like he's trying to play along and be pals with the ghosts and not make them, if I judge them on using this word, they're going to be uncomfortable. I don't want to do that. Go back and look at it because there's so many layers of what Nicholson does in a split second where he's kind of disoriented and confused and he repeats the word as if he didn't know that he heard it properly. That's the moment that I think Jack Torrance doubts what's going on the most. In a movie that's very solitary, there are a lot of other characters that come in. The bartender I like because he's Mr. Tyrell from Blade Runner, who clearly was a contract player, I guess, for Warner Brothers because that's the other big movie he's in. Uh, Other scenes I like. I mean, I mean, it's full of cliches because we've seen them a million times. It's like, yes, here's Johnny. Okay, remember we've seen all of that, and so I would, and the two little girls, scary. Um, so I think what remain are the scenes that we forget about, are the moments that we feel like when I was watching tonight, and I knew the word scene was coming up right before it happened. I got reminded of it, but his as a politically correct kind of liberal guy who's trying to fit in, that moment I think is a very amusingly acted moment. How do you confront the world's worst word when you're trying to impress murderers? Where do you land? I yeah, may not be the answer you wanted, but that's what I got.
Yeah. Uh, some of my favorite scenes is when they actually explore the hotel when Halloran is showing them.
Yes,
It is really good. It's one of the most underrated scenes in the movie because it gives you a sense of how big this place really is.
yeah.
Not just the outside, yeah, you could say the outside shot does that, but the inside is even more deafening when they get the tour.
Well, yeah, and then you get the things like little things like the manifested food.
Mm-hmm.
How much food is in there? And you start
Yeah.
doing the math. Could we even eat that much? I don't know.
Yeah, there's that too. And I love just the camera shots too of Danny riding his bike. That is so awesome.
The sound for me is what makes
Yeah.
that.
Yep. Obviously, the hedge maze scene is awesome. The outside in the snow, um, really, really cool. But my one of my favorite scenes because it's so heart wrenching is the death of oh shit
Bill,
uh,
Dick
of
Halloran.
the death of Dick Halloran. I mean, so heart wrenching because Scatman Crothers does a great job.
Yeah, you
Of
want
the
him to be the hero of the movie.
Yeah, you do. And you got to realize Shelley Duvall is and Danny are sort of your heroes in a sense. In a sense, they're your survivors of this movie in every way, shape, or form. Not just physically, but mentally.
So
Um,
what you're saying is Kubrick was a racist. I'm just kidding. Go on.
no, no. I think Kubrick had a good idea of what he wanted to do with this script and tell it in a psychological, methodic pacing way that would get you like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? Each time. It's far different than what Doctor Sleep does, and we're going to discuss that in a second. But yeah, so I got to let my wife in. Go ahead.
Um, he's letting his wife in, I think, to his heart more than
Sorry,
anything.
she got it.
But
She
that's a
got it.
portrait
Sorry.
of a marriage that. Oh, okay, we're back.
Okay, yeah, she got it. But yeah, now with Doctor Sleep, Mike Flanagan directs screenplay. Mike Flanagan, Ewan McGregor is here as Danny, as the older version of Danny. He has a psychic lockbox for the ghosts who try to shine through to him, which is really interesting in this movie. And there's a little girl who has the same ability as him, The Shining, obviously. Um, Distributed by Warner Brothers. Release dates October 21st, 2019, November 8th, 2019. For the United States, let's see. Budget 45 to 55 million. Box office $72.4 million. So this made its money back. What did you think as you? What did you think of Ewan McGregor's Danny Torrance?
He's fine. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Ewan McGregor's a good actor. He's about the appropriate age. Um, he's very good at being someone uh, for whom you can feel sympathy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, he is exactly the adult that you would hope Danny would grow up to be after experiencing stuff like that. Except he's not as shrill as his mother, which would be its own unique hell. Just wait. Did Wendy die in The Shining? I've seen it a million times, and yet
No,
I'm asking a question like that because I just remember Danny, walking backwards and Jack, in the snow. What happened to Wendy at the end of that thing? Did she escape down the window and presumably get in the snowcat?
they both get out of it. They both escape. Now, I
What a
will.
weird question for me to have to ask.
No, no, you're fine.
I can talk
I
about that
will.
Playgirl, but I can't. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something. I prefer this movie over The Shining. I
Okay,
really enjoy the hell out of Doctor Sleep because of the psychology that it plays off of the original movie. Danny, he's followed by ghost inhabitants seeking to shine. The ghost of Dick Halloran teaches him how to capture them, which made sense. Like, I could
sure.
see Dick Halloran's character kind of coming to Danny, like, look, this is what you need to learn. This is how I dealt with it. That made sense to me in this movie. Really, when I watched this for the first time, and this movie is so memorable because that girl and him communicating back and forth, and then you get these psychic sort of vampire characters who are sucking the life out of other people who can shine, who have abilities similar to their own. It's just creepy as shit.
Okay.
Really, really dark. And it gives an immediate sense of danger. Not just the ghosts aren't the only it teaches you that, okay, we've learned about ghosts in The Shining. Well, now what you need to understand is, well, the Shining people, the ghosts aren't just a threat to the Shining people. Other people with a similar ability to them are a threat. And that made this holy shit next level.
Okay.
What do you
Now,
do for?
well, I was wondering if do you want to revisit the Dark Shadows connections again
Sure.
with this? So, okay, one of the things in Dark Shadows is that there is a sense of fate when you inherit powers.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not going to go well. It's just going to go in one
No.
direction or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously the power in the Dark Shadows is a bunch of powers, but
Mm-hmm.
the power in this is shining.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you think does Doctor Sleep treat that as destiny, or is it a responsibility that you can refuse? Is it you have to use it? Can you shut your mind to it once you know it's there? What do you think?
The way this movie portrays it is Ewan McGregor kind of he he kind of to- tones it down to a degree. It's almost like when how do I put this? Bruce Banner controls the Hulk, where he can turn
Yes.
it to it at will. That's Ewan McGregor's Danny Torrance in this. He can turn that shining on anytime he wants and turn it off.
Okay.
But he also has there's the drawback is when somebody approaches him he doesn't know or isn't familiar with, he's worried that it's a ghost coming for him. And that's something I found really interesting about this movie most of all. Like,
And yeah. I think about the cost of power.
yep,
In Dark Shadows, it costs a lot.
yes.
So I'm kind of wondering, uh, does The Shining cost Danny, and does he get what he gives for it?
I think it costs him severely. And that's sort of the message I think this movie gives, e- even more so than The Shining. We know as a boy Danny's in danger because he's a little kid with powers.
Yeah.
But even as an adult, he's not safe. He's even in worse danger knowing that now, but he's aware, and he's not only aware of these cult, they're now aware of him, and they're coming for him. And where does he take them? A place that really affected his life, the Overlook Hotel. He takes them to there, and he wakes the place up with his powers, knowing this is what I have to do to save that girl.
He's going to overload them.
Yeah, he knows, and I do get the sense that I every time I watch this movie back, I get the sense that near the end, Danny Torrance knew this was going to be the end for him, or be could be the end of his life,
Yeah.
and that I appreciate most because we've learned from Spider-Man, hey, Uncle Ben, great power comes great responsibility. This movie echoes that without saying the line, and it does a damn good job for it. It's why I prefer this a little over The Shining. Sorry.
How would Kubrick have made this movie?
I think Kubrick would have paced the vampires a lot more than maybe what this director did. Because we do get stretches of them in this movie, but I think they would have been more built up throughout the movie. They're built up enough to me, in my opinion. But he would have and he would have definitely focused on the little shining girl a lot more than maybe Ewan McGregor's character.
Yeah, is Abra okay? So is Abra going to be a David Collins figure, or is she something really new in Gothic literature? What do you think?
Um, I think she's more of a David Collins type character, but not with the emotional scarring too much.
Yeah.
I need you to whatever first. Oh, so give me one moment.
Mm-hmm. I love coffee. I love tea. I love the Java Jive and it loves me. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. I'm thinking the rest of the song. That's really good. A slice of onion, raw one, raw one. Later, later, percolator. I love coffee. I love tea. I love Java Jive and it loves me. Coffee, tea, and Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. Here's one I sang at someone's deathbed. I'd work for you. I'd slave for you.
Okay,
I'd be a lover or a knave for you. If that isn't love, it'll have to do
I have a
until
question for
Jill
you.
Sane comes along.
Yes, I have a question for you.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
my question.
1 second.
Sorry.
1 second. This is what he takes in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he takes in the evening.
Okay.
So he didn't take anything.
Okay.
I
He
even
didn't
punch
take
out
anything.
Mr. T for you.
Yeah.
You didn't take any of them.
No, we didn't take any of them.
Okay. I just need to know because I don't too much, not enough. I want to cause him to have a seizure.
I know. But yeah, what did you think of these psychic sort of vampires in a sense here? You got people who are sucking the life out of other people.
Rebecca Morrison in that hat.
Ferguson, yeah.
It's great. The girl I knew, Cheryl Buckheim, worked at Hollywood Booking Posters, had a hat like that. And Rebecca Morrison's almost as pretty. I don't know what happened to her, but I wonder. If you know, write into Julie.
I really enjoy Kaylee Curran as Aberstone. Really, really good. I mean, because you don't just feel sorry for her through Danny. You feel sorry for her through her. She more kind of in a sense causes Danny to more embrace the Shining more so than I would say what Doc did. But in the same sense, it kind of gives you a reminder of what he went through before they ever step back into the Overlook. You know what Danny went through. And when you see Doc's ghost, Dick Halloran, Carl Lumbly as Dick Halloran did a great job, an amazing job.
He did.
So, and I love it for that. And you have Ewan McGregor as Danny Torrance, who's working as a hospice guy who hospice home. Really made sense. So,
yeah, I would agree. It does make sense.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. It makes too much sense. I wonder. I'm making connections I never made before about the McKinley assassination, for instance. What's up with that?
So, scale 1 to 10, what do you give The Shining? Scale 1 to 10, what do you give Doctor Sleep?
I think Doctor Sleep 7.5 or an 8. I think it's a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember it that well, and I haven't really rewatched it a lot. I mean, The Shining is impervious to numbers. It's it's like trying to explain how many Elvis records worth is the Great Pyramid of Giza. It's these things that it is a primal force of nature, Mr. Beale. It is something unworldly. I think that's the reason why people keep responding to it, is that either Kubrick created accidentally the greatest trolling that a media world where we could sort of pick these things apart and put them up on YouTube ever knew, or he truly was trying to explain something dark and deep, which he would later pretty much be clear about explaining when he's talking about, the limits of power in Eyes Wide Shut, or in his renegade cut of Smoking the Bandit 2. With Ganesha, obviously that symbolism, the elephant. So who knows? But it is a big movie. I have to remain convinced there are too many weird accidents in The Shining, like the topography of the hotel and all that, to be weird accidents. Kubrick didn't make accidents.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if he got really excited or nervous or something, he had like a lot of chili or something, maybe, but he didn't talk about those.
Yeah. I'll give The Shining a 10 because it's a great movie. It's a
That's
classic.
yeah.
I give this an 11. Dr. Sleep.
I got to go
Sleep.
back and watch it again. You
Doctor,
nefarious.
when you get a chance to go back and rewatch Doctor Sleep,
Oh.
it is it's sort of like Blade Runner, where Blade Runner's a compliment to the book. Doctor Sleep's a compliment to The Shining.
Can you help me?
Yes.
Take the pill bottle off my finger. Take the jug of tea. Take the jug of water.
And soap opera in town.
There you go. Okay. But yeah, is there anything you want to add about Doctor Sleep or The Shining?
Months worth, but I don't know where to even start. This is a thing where you could, if you wanted to, do a weekly show looking at a different conspiracy theory or something like that, just about The Shining, and get a year out of it. Yeah. You really could. I will strongly advise people. I think there have to be schisms in the world of Shining conspiracy theories, and I'll tell you why. Rodney Asher, good filmmaker, made a movie called The Nightmare, which I talked about us watching. It is a very non-scientific look at sleep paralysis and what people experience as sleep paralysis. It offers no prescriptions, no answers, nothing like that. It just is sitting down and living with that experience. So he's a good filmmaker. He's good at making horror documentaries. But, and it's a big smelly but, I am a little disturbed by the fact that he only mentions my favorite Shining conspiracy theorist and his work, which is voluminous, once. And he's the single best film analyst on YouTube. He's a guy named Rob Agar. He has several channels. I think one's called Rob Agar. The other's called Collative Learning. And Rob is probably crazy, but it doesn't make him wrong, and it doesn't make him imperceptive, and it doesn't make him someone who's not worth every iota of my time. You could take someone and have them do nothing but watch Rob Agar videos for 40 years, every day, 8 hours a day. And by the, well, Jules saying that's like graduate school. I'm talking about undergraduate. And they'd get a college degree at the end of it. He is brilliant. And his Shining stuff, I think, is what really maybe put him on the map. And he has all sorts of theories, including ones about the movie being about us. It's about Woodrow Wilson and us being taken off the gold standard. And they make sense. They make horrific amounts of sense. He works very hard. He's an excellent scholar, a brilliant man. And so, I don't know how I got here, but I did want to say some nice things about Rob Agar. And Jewel, if you feel like putting links to his channels, and you should do that. There are very few. Yes, yeah. Hey, Julie, how are you?
I'm good. Tired, but good. I'm here.
Good.
Working like a crazy woman tonight.
Well, what'd she do?
She got home from work.
We got slammed at work. It was really busy. We was right there, like we're right by a ski resort. Well, we're not right beside it, but near a ski resort. Yeah. So we get all the skiers.
Wow.
And then we're like by the turnpike, so we get travelers traveling the turnpike.
Are you guys close to Hershey or not? Or is it one of those things that's like 3,000 miles away?
Huh?
Are you close to Hershey or not? It's in Pennsylvania. That's the state you live in.
Yeah. Hershey's a good ways away.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, we're close to the resort's called Seven Springs.
Oh yeah.
We're at the bottom of the like bottom of the mountain
Okay.
before you go up over the up over to go to Seven Springs.
Bottom of the mountain, but top of the heap.
I think we're probably about what I would say about half an hour or so away from Seven Springs. I'm not exactly sure quite how long it is, but I think once we start going up the mountain to get up to Somerset and stuff to go up that way towards Seven Springs, I think it takes about a half an hour, give or take, depending upon how fast you drive. But yeah,
Daredevil you are.
we were fairly busy tonight and last night, so everybody
What
getting their skiing in because it's snowing.
Now you make food there that I guess is on rotisseries and things like that.
We don't have rotisserie stuff. We make burgers. We'll make flatbread pizzas, sandwiches with flatbread.
What's your secret? What of the recipes that you guys do well? What do you do best? What's the secret?
What do we do best? What's the secret? Oh, I don't know. We make hoagies. We make all kinds of stuff.
What makes a good hoagie? He demanded.
What makes a good hoagie, in my opinion?
Good hoagie. Yes.
The bread and like the quality of the meat and the freshness of the vegetables and different things like that.
Hey, do you know where your phone's at?
The insider tip. There's some other voice there, and I'm not trusting it.
Oh, that was my son.
Oh,
Asked me where my phone was.
Oh well, it's by your phone.
Gotta have my cell phone. He likes to look at stuff on my phone.
Sure. With you and Jewel, I find all sorts of stuff to look at on your phone.
Oh, he wants to look at Walmart. I ordered him
Oh,
something.
that.
He just wanted to see where his package is.
Well, he needs to look down. With that, good night.
Yep. You have a good night too.
You too. It's great talking to you, Julie. Happy New Year.
Yep. I'm gonna go relax. Go take some a leave and take my medicine and go chill out for the night.
Sounds good.
Links to Patrick McCray's Dark Shadows, the book about it will be in the description box. And yes, link to that guy's YouTube channel will be in the description box too. What was his name?
Rob Agar.
Rob Agar. All right. Link to Rob Agar's YouTube channel will be in the description box. Have a good night, Patrick. See you tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye.
Yep, bye.